Welcome back to the Lawn Care Grandpa channel. This is Jerry McMillan. He's had over 40 years of experience in the landscaping and lawn care business. I worked with him for 10 years. My name is Matthew, and today we want to answer some questions, give some tips and, from experience about what happens if you put the wrong kind of fuel in your lawnmower. There's all different variations of that. We'll go over some of those, and so hopefully we can help you if you have that problem, because I think everybody's done it at least once or twice. So there's a lot of good fixes for it. We're going to go over some of those today. What happens if you put it in there? If you put the wrong fuel in your lawnmower, is it something that you can fix? Is there situations where you can't? Just give us a little bit of information about it.
Well, if you have gasoline mowers, like most of mine were gasoline mowers, and you have a crew of men working for you, many times they'll pour mixed gas that you use in chainsaws, weed eaters, or blowers. They'll pour it into a mower that you use gasoline in. Well, it'll start to miss and maybe smoke a little bit. The first thing you need to do is just drain it out. You find your hose that comes from the gas tank, run it into a can of gas that's like what they're got in there. That's the way to get it back to normal and put the correct gas in after you've drained the tank.
So let's get more specific. Let's say you put diesel fuel in a gas-powered engine. What would be the issue there?
Well, if it was empty and you poured it in, it likely wouldn't start. Sometimes, though, you'll have a tank that's half full and they'll pour the wrong thing in it. And if it's a diesel engine and they pour gasoline into it, it'll get hot. Gas burns a lot hotter than diesel fuel, and it probably wouldn't do the engine any good at all. If, say, you have a gasoline engine and you pour diesel fuel into the tank, it won't hurt the motor, but it'll smoke real bad.
Okay, maybe it'll miss. That kind of thing.
It could start missing.
So let's say you have like those two-stroke engines. You were talking about before, like with let's say a weed eater or a blower or something, and then you put just regular gasoline in it. What could be the problem?
Oh, right away it'll get hot because the gas it's supposed to be burning has oil mixed with it, and that's how it's protecting the parts inside the engine. If you use straight gasoline and it goes in there, then your motor is like running your car motor without oil in it.
Okay, so like if you have a four-stroke engine, usually they have a separate oil reservoir that kind of goes in with it, right?
It's like a pump. It's like a reservoir at the bottom.
Yeah, so if you got a two-stroke engine, it's not going to have that. It needs to be in the gas.
It just goes through the engine with the gas, and it lubricates the parts as it goes through.
All right, so let's say we have the opposite scenario. You have a four-stroke engine, but you put mixed gas in it. Now, what kind of issues would you have there?
Well, again, that's not going to hurt the motor. It's going to make it miss or make it smoke because it has oil mixed with the gas. And sometimes it could miss, depending on how thick it gets. But obviously, if it's running, it's going to smoke because it's going to be burning oil.
Yeah, it's the same thing if you see a car that's, it's burning oil because it's got a lot of smoke coming out of the exhaust. So burning oil makes that happen.
Right.
Okay, so what about, now you've got a diesel engine. You had some guy, a real smart guy on your crew, he puts mixed gas in your diesel engine. What could happen?
That really would be similar to the gasoline engine, but it likely would start if it's a diesel motor because it doesn't even have plugs. It just has compression ignition.
So it doesn't have spark plugs in a diesel engine?
No.
Okay.
And so you would just have another problem. It probably wouldn't start.
Okay.
Have trouble starting.
So let's say you just put a little bit in there to top it off. What would
Well,
you have?
if you did, and it did start, it would smoke more than usual.
Okay, but it wouldn't be just...
It wouldn't hurt the motor.
All right, so let's say you got a lawnmower, regular fuel. You put mixed gas in there. This is the two-stroke gas with the oil mixed in. Though it's smoking and missing, is this going to hurt the engine?
It really won't, and if you don't have much in your gas tank, you can just go ahead and burn it out or mix some straight gas with it. And the more you mix, the less it's going to affect it, smoke and everything. But that way you can just burn it out without having to worry about draining it.
Okay. Yeah, so that in this case, if you can stand the smoke and the missing, you can just let it go.
Yeah, that'd be the best thing I believe to do. Less work.
So let's say now that you want to drain the fuel from your gas tank. I mean, there's all different sizes of engines too, so there may be different ways to do it. But you've got riders, you've got pushers. Some people like to use a siphon. So have you ever used a siphon? Would you suggest it?
Well, the easiest way for me that I've ran into is to take the hose loose underneath the gas tank. It has a hose that goes to a fuel filter, and you just take it loose at the fuel filter. It gives you a little room to run the gas into a can.
So it'll just come on its own then?
Right. If it's a large lawnmower, like a riding lawnmower, or something that large, it's easier to drain it with the water hose. I mean, with the hose,
Yeah.
the gas hose. But if it's a push mower, it may not have a hose. It depends on what kind they are.
Okay.
It's always best to take the hose loose at the filter.
Okay. So if it doesn't, but if it doesn't have that hose, you could use a siphon.
Right.
Okay, and then you can get those at different places.
Well, you can, or you can do it your own hard way, sucking it out and
Yeah.
letting it go into a can before it goes into your mouth.
I've even seen some real intricate ways where they have like 3 hoses and they're getting pressured, and it becomes almost a science project. Now, I know I probably did it when you weren't looking, and some other people do it. You just turn that mower right over and get it out that way. But as long as you're not turning it towards the filter, it should work, right?
Well, if it's a lawnmower, you're not going to be able to turn it over. But
Push mower.
push mower, you can. Yeah, you can do it that way. Just get out of the yard where you don't want to kill grass.
All right, well, we appreciate you coming by and watching the video with us today. We're trying to answer as many questions in these video series as we can for the experience that may have specific problems, and especially from the homeowner that may not know a lot of these things. So if you have any questions or anything like that, leave them in the comments. And if you like the video, like it, and hit the subscribe. It helps us out as we're making these videos. So hope you come back next time, and we'll have some more information on different problems you might have, or different issues, or tips or tricks.
I enjoy talking about these things. I've had a lot of experience with different size crews, and probably know a little bit about many things.